Hi, in this lesson we're going to be looking at equations with pronumerals on both sides. So far in equations we've looked at what is an equation, and we've defined that as a mathematical statement with both a left-hand side and a right-hand side having an equal sign and equaling each other. Okay, we've also looked at how to solve equations using some informal methods. So some of those are trial and error, backtracking, and we started last lesson to look at a formal method of solving equations known as the inverse operations method, and that is a method you always use unless you're asked otherwise. So in everything from now on we're going to be using that method. Excuse me. What we're going to be looking at today is how to solve equations with pronumerals on both sides. So the important thing to think about first is, what is a pronumeral? Okay. And basically, we've discussed this a lot, and you should know by now that a pronumeral is basically some kind of unknown. Okay, so it could be a letter of the alphabet, it could be a Greek letter, it could be basically any unknown. Okay, that's what a pronumeral is. What do we mean by equations with pronumerals on both sides? Well, basically what you see here in question 3a that we're going to do later on. It means that both the left-hand side and the right-hand side of the equation have pronumerals on them, okay, which is different to your basic equations. You might just have 3x plus 8 equals 6. In these ones, you can see in this first example that there's two pronumerals and they're not on the same side. So they're a bit harder to simplify. Not very hard, just more involving, okay. So let's start off by having a look at a few examples together. I'm going to do about 4 examples, and I'm going to go through with you how to set them out. Now please make sure that you write the correct setting out, because otherwise you're going to need to do it again. Okay, so that is really, really important. So let's just have a look at these first 2 examples, and we're going to be using the inverse operations method to solve it. Okay, so in this first one we've got 4x plus 5 equals 3x plus 11. Now when solving these sorts of equations, the first step is to always get the pronumerals onto one side. Always. That's pretty much how you start. So why don't we do that now? And you don't just want to move it onto one side. You want to move it onto a side that makes the pronumeral positive. Okay? So the second step is to ensure that the pronumeral is positive. That's my shorthand for positive. Where possible. It won't always be possible, but where you can, you want to make the thing with the letter positive. So here I need to decide, do I want to take away 3x from both sides, or do I want to take away 4x from both sides? Now I have to tell you at this point, whichever way you do it, if you do the correct steps, you'll get the right answer, even if you have a negative pronumeral. Okay, you can still work it through. Generally it just means a bit more work. However, I'm going to minus 3x from both sides, because I know that if I do 4x minus 3x, that's going to give me 1x. Okay, so 4x minus 3x is 1x. I've got plus 5 left. 3x minus 3x, well, that cancels out to give 0, and I'm left with plus 11. So remember, always what you do to one side, you do to the other side. So if I wanted to get rid of the 3x here, I had to get rid of 3x here as well. Now I want to get x by itself. Well, ask yourself the question, what's happening to the x? It's being plus by 5. So I'm going to minus 5 to both sides. 5 minus 5 is 0, so I'm left with x. And 11 minus 5 is 6. Okay. Now remember, you can't just accept this as your answer. You should be substituting it back into the equation to check. So you can do that as your check as well. Okay. So if I just quickly check over here, sometimes you can do it in your head, but it's good to show it. So I've got 4 times 6 plus 5. That should be equal to 3 times 6 plus 11. Okay. Now 4 times 6 is 24, and 24 and 5 is 29. 3 times 6 is 18, and 18 and 11 is 29. So it's correct. Okay. It's always good to do that check, especially if you have time in a test. Okay. In a test, you don't check it first. You do all the questions and then you check. Otherwise, you might run out of time. Okay, let's have a look at question B. I'm going to show the working out here. So first step, get the pronumerals onto one side, ensure the pronoun is possible where positive, and the third step is to obviously solve, okay, for your pronumeral, isolate pronumeral. Okay, in this one I've got 4x plus 8 equals 10 minus 2x, okay. Now, I want to make the x thing positive, so if I put minus 4x here, that's going to end me up with minus 6x, so I'm going to get rid of this 2x here, so I'm going to plus 2x to both sides. 4x plus 2x, well that's 6x, and I've still got the plus 8, and that is equal to 10. Minus 2x plus 2x is 0. Okay, so what I've got at the moment is 6x plus 8 equals 10. Okay, and now I need to say, well, what's happening to the 6x? Being plus by 8, I want a minus by 8 on both sides, so just bringing that up to here. I'm going to have 6x, because x minus 8 minus 8 is 0. 6x, sorry, I'll write that a bit clearer. I'm going to have 6x is equal to 10 take away 8, that's 2. If I want to get x by itself, ask yourself what's happening to it? Well, it's being times by 6, so I'm going to divide by 6 on both sides. 6 divided by 6 is 1, leaving me with 1x, but we don't write the 1. And 2 divided by 6, well, that is 1/3, and that's my answer. And again, you can check it, and the best way to check it here is probably just quickly with your calculator, but that should be the right answer. Okay, so make sure you've written down that correct working neatly, and it should go under each other. So when you write it down on your sheet, you're going to write this bit here directly underneath this. Okay, so that's important. Okay, make sure you pause the video and get all that written down, including these notes up here. They're very important. And why don't we just quickly have a look at 2 more examples, because you're going to need to know how to do lots and lots of these questions by yourself. So we'll have a look at these 2 questions, and then that's probably all we'll have time for this time. Okay, let's have a look at question C. It says 2y plus 7 is y minus 8. Okay, so I'm going to take away y from both sides. 2y minus 1y is just 1y, and I've still got the plus 7. And y take away y is 0, and I'm left with negative 8. Don't forget this sign here. It belongs to this 8. Okay, so y is being plus by 7, so to get rid of it I need to minus by 7. Plus 7 minus 7 is 0. So I've got y is equal to negative 15. And that's my answer. Okay, and again I can check that by substituting it back into the solution. Okay, question D. 6m plus 24 equals 5m minus 8. Well, I'm going to subtract 5m from both sides. 5m take away 5m is 0. So I'm left with a minus 8 on this side. On this side I've got 6m minus 5m, which is 1m. And I've got plus 24. Okay, so just going up here with my answer, just rewrite that bit. So I've got m plus 24 equals minus 8. I need to get m by itself. At the moment it's being plus by 24, so I need to do the inverse, minus by 24 on both sides. 24 take away 24 is 0, therefore m is, what is minus 8 minus 24? Well, it's going to be negative 32. Okay, and again, you can substitute that in to check, but that's pretty much the basis of it. So have a go at doing those examples, write them out, and we'll practice some more in class, and you'll get a lot more chance in class to ask questions. Write down any questions you have. Make sure you copy these down neatly. Again, this bit should be directly underneath that I just ran out. Make sure you write like that on your sheet. Okay, so make sure you write down exactly what you learned this lesson, anything you don't understand, and you have to write down a higher order thinking question. Now, with algebra, higher order thinking questions are harder, but you still can think of a question to ask, maybe someone you sit next to in class, or even me, where you'd have to make us think. Okay, so make sure you filled out these 2 questions, 4 and 5 as well. Print off your worksheet, stick it in your book, and I'll see you next time in class. See you later.